And they'll go extra holes. Tiger Woods and Ted Gleason. And we'll be back with more action from the United States Amateur Championship at Muirfield in just a moment.
All right, we're just going to jump straight into it. I wanted to mix up the vibe on this one. Just redefine what a podcast is. You know, it doesn't have to be the basic conversing back and forth. But I think such a cool story is how you played the Michael Jordan of golf when you were a senior in college. Obviously, that was Tiger Woods. So just run us through that whole the whole situation match in detail.
Like leading up to it, or just the actual match?
Everything.
Well, let's just start off by the story would have been really cool if I would have won. So let's get that out of the way.
You would have had his career.
I had to blow the top off the surprise. Nobody knew. Oh shoot! It was the 1992 U.S. Amateur, and as you said, I was a senior, going to be a senior at UCLA, and Tiger was 16 at the time. But prior to the match, just to, again, set the scene a little bit, it was 1992 U.S. Amateur at Muirfield Village in Ohio, and I had qualified in Indiana because that's where, my mom and dad were at the time. So it was a cool deal. I had actually qualified the year before, which was really cool. And so those are probably, qualifying for two amateurs is pretty high up there on my highlights list, really. It's got to be, even though I lost both matches, just the experience was incredible. So anyway, 1992, Muirfield Village. And just so people know, you basically, you qualify through these local sites all around the country, and they usually take 1 to 4 people depending on where you go. And so I won the qualifier and got to go there. So there's 364 people that qualify to the U.S. Amateur. I think they might exempt the previous winner or maybe the runner-up too. There's a few exemptions, but there's 364 people, and those 364 they get there and they play 36 holes of stroke play. One course, there's usually the signature course, which is Muirfield Village, and then another course sometimes on property or very close. I can't remember what the name of the other course was. So you play 2 rounds to get into the top 64, which is then the match play. And I remember a little side story. I remember, so my pops was caddying for me, your grandpa was caddying for me, and which he loved to do. It was like he just loved it. And so we're on the 36th hole of stroke play. So it's close. I know there's not live scoring or anything like that back in the day. This is 1992. So, but I knew the number based on the day's previous number. I knew I was close. And I hit in this fairway bunker on 18. And this was the other course. This wasn't the Muirfield course. I'd played that the day before. So I remember my buddy, Billy Heffley, he's from Iowa. He ended up playing at Oklahoma State and still a friend of mine. He came out because he was playing in the tournament as well. And I think his dad was there with him, and they watched the last hole. They came out to watch me finish. So I hit it in this bunker, this fairway bunker. There was water in front of the green, and it was kind of there was no lip on the bunker, but I was in the bunker. I had a nice lie, but my foot was I think one foot was kind of out of the bunker. It was a slightly awkward stance. And I remember I hit a 5-iron. The pin was up, and I just absolutely flushed it. And about as good a shot as I probably ever hit. And it flew over the pin about 15, 20 feet behind the hole. And Grandpa, my dad, gave me this big old sweet kind of I raised my arm and he just clenched my hand with the rake was in the other hand. It was just just gives me chills even thinking about it to this day. It's a sweet memory of me and my dad. And we knew that, I was on the green, I was 20 feet. So I was going to make a 2-putt was going to be for sure. A bogey might've got me in, but I made the birdie anyway. And I made it, inside the number by a couple shots. So that was a cool, side story to the whole thing. Just getting into match play was really neat, and to have my dad on the bag and have that moment together, and that high five, basically grip clinch, was just, it was awesome. It was awesome. And so that night, my dad and mom had family friends. There's actually my dad's work friend lived in Muirfield, just coincidentally. So we were staying with them, and he had us, he had a cookout for us, and obviously we're staying there, and then my friend from Iowa, Billy Heffley, and his dad, I think, came over, and so we were having burgers, and I remember he put onions in the burger meat, and I was like, I love that. I'd never had that.
You still do that?
So Garl Benz was his name, and Melanie was his wife, and good people. So anyway, you said, I'm going to give you the detail. People probably turned off by now, whatever. So we're having burgers and hanging out. And so back then, again, there's no cell phones and there's no online thing where you check who you're playing. So grandma, my mom, your grandma, she picks up the phone and she calls the pro shop. That's how you did it. And she, picks up the phone and she's like, just checking on, a player for tomorrow, Ted Gleason, would like to know when he's teeing off and who he's playing. And, she's on the phone, right? We're sitting around the couch, so we don't hear her. And then she smiles and she hangs up the phone. And she kind of looks over at me and she's just smiling. And I'm like, because we talked about it. I'm sure we talked about it. Wouldn't that be something if I played Tiger or Tiger's in the field? Because he shot like 67, or he shot a really good second round to make it in match play. I looked at my mom. I'm like, I'm playing Tiger. And she goes, yep. I'm like, oh my gosh. So at the time, Tiger was a 2-time U.S. junior champion. Okay. So he had won the junior twice in a row, and he was definitely in the phenom status category at that time. But he was, like I said, he was only 16. I was going to be a senior. So whatever it was 92. I was 22 years old.
This has to rank as something of a surprise. Tiger Woods coming in here has won the U.S. Junior the last 2 years at age 16. I guess really one of the great teenage phenomena we've seen in the last 20 or 30 years. Certainly there's more talked about than anybody since Nicklaus.
So anyway, so that was obviously exciting, but the cool part was my dad was, caddying for me. So we were going to experience this together. So we go out the next day, and I'm not playing very well. He's playing okay. He's playing better than me. And I'm 2 down going into 14. And so there's some people out there following because it's Tiger, not a crazy group, but there's some people definitely. And it was exciting and all that. But I was 2 down going into 14. We hit our tee shots on 14, which in Muirfield Village, if people ever watch the Muirfield tournament, Jack's tournament, 14 is a short par 4. Actually, the pros sometimes drive it now. But it's a really small green, water in the front. So we both lay up, and then the storm starts coming. There's lightning and all that, so they suspend it, and then they basically say, hey, you're going to come out and play tomorrow. So how fate works out, back in that day, they always started the TV coverage in the second round. So the first round wasn't covered on TV. So as fate would have it, we come out the next day. Of course, Tiger's, the phenom, he's got a name, and so they put eventually they put the coverage on our match. But we come out to 14, and I hit it on the green about 15 feet right of the pin. The pin was kind of middle right. So I got a right to lefter. And this is a funny thing. I don't know if I've shared this too many times, but I'm over the ball about to putt for birdie. And he had already missed his birdie putt. And I am so damn nervous. I'm like, dude, I got to get a hold of myself. I was literally I was just nervous. And so I backed away and I crouched down behind the ball like I was reading my putt. And I just got real tight. That was one of the techniques I used. So I just tensed up my hands and my whole body and then just let loose. And then then I thought of something that really made me laugh. And I had this memory actually of my brother, Ryan, that made me laugh, like smile. And I thought of that. And that was kind of some technique I had used through Dr. Parham, who I worked with. And so really just kind of just like took my mind off the nervousness that I had and what I was worried about. And I just got this chuckle and I stepped up there and I made it, which was really cool. And so now I'm one down. And the next hole is a par 5. So I'm one down, I tee off first, and I hit a 3-wood off this par 5 because I wasn't hitting my driver great. And I hit the 3-wood terrible, like to the right in the crap, the trees. And he gets up there and smokes a driver. So I'm like punching out of the trees, right, to, whatever I was, 140, 50 yards. And he smokes it up around the green somewhere. Can't remember if it was in the bunker or not. I hit it on the green. Well, he hit it on the green and he 3-putted. And he was in prime position, right? He was in the middle. He literally went for the green in 2. But he 3-putted. And I 2-putted. So now we're all square.
Going into
16. Excuse me. 16.
18 holes on a golf course, by the way, if anyone didn't know.
16. It's par 3. So I hit it on the green. It's a reasonable shot, 35, 40 feet. He hits it outside of that. And he 3-putts again. And I 2-putt. So all of a sudden, I just won 3 holes in a row to start the dang day. And I'm one up. I'm one up on 17. 17's a kind of from what I remember, a slight dogleg right. It's a good par 4. And the wind's going left to right, which was like that was my bugaboo. Like, I didn't like a left to right wind because I hit it left to right. And I was, a little nervous. I was, not where my mind needed to be. I was probably getting ahead of myself. And I hit a driver, which I shouldn't have hit. I didn't need to hit the driver. I should have hit the 3-wood like I'd been hitting before. But I just made a terrible swing. The wind gets it, and it goes out of bounds. So I basically just say, here you go. Gift of a hole. He bogeys and he wins the hole. So, I kind of basically let the moment get the best of me in that on the 17th. So we're even now going into 18. So he's got the tee. He hits it in the right rough, I believe, or right bunker. I'm in the fairway. I can't remember who hit first, but this is when the coverage, I saw the cameras and the coverage is starting. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. So we're all square. So I hit it. The pin was front. And I hit a good shot. I was right on the front fringe over the bunker. So I'm literally only, 15 to 18 feet away from the hole. And he hit it in the front right bunker. So kind of the advantage is back to me here. He pitches it out, makes a nice shot, maybe 4 feet. And this is where the coverage starts. And you can, you've seen the tape. It's, I got that on my website as well. Shameless plug.
I'll put it in the video.
So I make a nice putt, and it just kind of goes over it doesn't lip out, but it goes over just the front left part of the hole. It looked pretty good, like it had a chance, right? So I was like, oh my gosh. It went about 1.5 feet by. And so the coverage starts about right after it catches it shows my putt, and then it starts talking. Tiger takes literally, it's like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. He's grinding on this 4-footer because essentially it's going to tie the match, right? And they're talking about they're saying Tiger is the most talked about since Nicklaus. They were, gassing him up. And so anyway, he makes the 4-footer. He makes me putt mine. I make it. And then we're off to the first playoff hole.
It's overtime.
So it's overtime, 19th hole. So he hits it on the green in 2, and I hit it in the front left bunker, and the pin is kind of back left. It's in a little bowl. So he's about 30 feet in good spot. So now advantage him. And I make a nice bunker shot. I pitch it out probably 6-7 feet, something like that. And then he rolls in his 30-footer for birdie, and that was kind of all she wrote. So he makes birdie, and I don't even putt mine because he won, and we shake hands, and that was it. That was the deal.
That's a sweet story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know the camera's about to expire or run out of juice in like 3 or 4 minutes, but can you add on the part where your grandma flips on the TV?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of crazy. So Grandma Gleason, your great Grandma Gleason from Gilmore City, Iowa,
Middle of nowhere.
small town in northwest Iowa where my dad was from and his family. She loves sports, right? She loves sports and loved to watch sports all the time, golf, whatever. And she knew we were at a tournament, but supposedly the story goes, she goes, well, I heard Ted's at a tournament. I'm gonna turn on the TV. And there's them ESPN picking up the coverage of me playing Tiger, and she got to see the damn match.
That's so
or
cool.
the whole 2 holes that they had. So yeah, it was pretty. I'm just glad that we got the coverage, you know? I mean, to still have that was pretty cool. But yeah, it'd have been cooler if I would have won.
Yeah, but OT is sweet anyway.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun story, and playing in the U.S. Amateur it was a thrill. You know, it was a thrill for sure. So, thank you for letting me go down memory lane.
Thank you, Dad. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
buddy.
Love you, sir.
Love you.
That was good. I think we made it.
Do I turn this off?